Here are some reasons people visit Boston. They like beans or cream pie, they're looking for signs of Ally McBeal, or they just feel like a marathon or a tea party. But here's another reason. They want to visit America's self-styled walking city. And what walks there are, through the parks, over the world's smallest suspension bridge on Duck Pond, along the cobbled lanes of Beacon Hill, and down the elegant avenues of New Boston. Tourists come to walk the history and do a little shopping on the side. Then there are the students. 250,000 come to Boston's 55 universities. This is what they call Harvard Yard, where first-year students live in residence. The Kennedy name seems to be everywhere. There's a statue of JFK in front of the State House, overlooking Frog Pond and Boston Common. The Common is almost 400 years old. Today's Boston elite live around the corner, up Beacon Hill. This is tiny Acorn Street. That's Teddy Roosevelt's grandson's house on the left. Bostonians treasure their colonial past as well as their rather smart present. The downtown is very healthy. In the center of Old Boston is the famous Faneuil Hall Marketplace, restored and decked out now with shops and food stalls. It was once, though, the scene of many a rousing colonial meeting. You're constantly reminded that this is Boston, and the American Revolution was only a couple of centuries ago. But as much as Boston is known for its famous Tea Party, there's a town north up the Massachusetts coast that claims to have had its own tea uprising before Boston. This is Newburyport, where they'll guarantee you a whale sighting in summer and tell you about their long maritime history.
The Maritime Museum is dedicated to showing and teaching the maritime history of this town of Newburyport, how the town was shaped by international trade and how international trade connected it to the world. One of the ways that it was shaped is that the wealth accumulated here gave rise to a great row of mansions on the hill above us. The square was rebuilt in elegant style in 1811, and international trade brought a wonderful selection of exotica to us from all over the world, in addition to the standard bulk cargoes of sugar, molasses, rum, textiles, and porcelain.
And they're still building boats. Here at Lowell's on the Merrimack River, you can watch the latest generation of craftsmen building dories at America's oldest wooden boat shop. The town of Newburyport itself is pure New England, tidy, quaint, almost too good to be true.
I saw 3 ships come sailing in, come sailing in, come sailing in. I saw 3 ships come.
While many prefer the warmth of a Christmas concert, there are always a few hearty souls drawn to Newburyport's Plum Island for some of the Atlantic coast's finest birdwatching.
I'm standing on the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge, a 4,400-acre refuge, just a couple miles from the center of the city of Newburyport. And this refuge is critically important for a lot of different wildlife, including almost 300 species of birds that come here during spring migration, breeding during the summertime, during fall migration, and of course during the winter time, birds that are coming down out of Canada. And on a blustery day like this, a lot of people come out to observe the birds that are in this area.
If the easy pace of life makes you want to stay a while, your choices include some gracious old mansions built by men who made and lost fortunes in shipping. Morill Place is now an inn with its own afternoon tea party, with scones and jam, of course. Closer to Boston is Salem, which cannot shake its image of witches and burnings. Why worry? It draws tourists who also come for the House of the Seven Gables and the country's first candy store. This is where they made Cora's hounds, savored by sailors and anyone with a sore throat. Salem is also a good walk through street after street of some of New England's finest federal-style mansions, many built 200 years ago by Salem sea captains. They say America's first millionaires were made here on the success of worldwide shipping business. Meanwhile, back in Boston, the Patriots have arrived for their annual reenactment of the tax revolt, known as the Boston Tea Party.
Well, before our husbands came down tonight to dump the tea, we spent the early part of this evening painting their faces with lampblacking and red ochre and putting feathers in their hair so as that they would not be recognized and hung for treason against the British Crown.
Thousands marched on the English boats under cover of darkness one cold December night back in 1773, chanting, "Dump the tea into the sea." They sure do savor their history everywhere in Massachusetts. For more information, visit our website on topoftheworld.net.